Welcome to the Coaches Spotlight series on Fitlete Radio. My name is George Wagon III. Now let's meet our coach.
Hi, my name is Arlan Carroll. I am the founder, owner, and CEO of AC Fitness and Sports Training, and I'm also the director of training at Palm Beach Personal Fitness in Jupiter, Florida. We work with anyone who is looking for training, anyone from 10 to 13 years old as youth athletes, all the way up to 80 and 90-year-olds who are just looking to stay fit and strong and enjoy life and work on their longevity. And a little bit about my background. I'm actually an aerospace engineer turned fitness professional. I made the switch years ago when I wanted to have kids and I wanted to work hard, enjoy my life, but also be present with my children. So made the switch and I've enjoyed my life ever since.
While there might be many, take a moment to think about all you've done as a coach and tell me one of your favorite moments as a coach in your career or practice that you have. It doesn't have to be one specific person, place, or thing, but maybe some realization or reaffirming moment you experienced because you were someone's coach.
So one of my favorite moments as a coach is probably has to do with this one gentleman I was working with. Came to me a few years ago, late 50s, early 60s, father of three, working professional, and came to me and talked to me about what his goals were and what he was looking for. Essentially, what I found out was that he had a serious back injury, gained weight, didn't feel like himself anymore. And around that age and around his children's age, he was hoping to expect grandchildren at that time. Well, after assessing and evaluating where he was at, his injuries, previous injuries, and his goals and everything, basically built a program, got him working again. And, at that time, he was just afraid, like petrified to even touch a barbell or touch any like true weight. And we designed a program, built him back up from the ground up. And over some time, he came up to me and we were back squatting, and we got done with that session. The next day he came up to me and he was like, my back doesn't hurt. I feel great. Like, I can't believe this. You helped build me back up again. I really feel like you've given me my life back. And to me, I got chills at that time. I still get chills right now thinking about it. But for me to help someone who needed that type of help, needed to just get their life back and can enjoy their life again and look forward to their workouts, look forward to squatting and looking forward to doing all these things with the barbell and all these other implements that we use. For him to say that he got his life back and now he has a grandchild and now he gets to run around and play with his grandchild because we ended up were able to fix him and get him back to doing whatever he wanted to do. That's probably one of my all-time favorite coaching moments.
To me, real coaches join the industry with the best intentions. Helping people is pretty much at the core of their mission. Over time and with some new experiences, some further learning, some of these beliefs, methods, techniques, and the general approaches to how we coach can change. No one's perfect when we start. Nobody has the perfect system, especially in the beginning. What's something you used to believe as a new coach, but no longer do, or no longer see as important in your practice as a coach?
So one of the things I used to believe but don't really do anymore is that every workout had to be intense and you had to be on your back, just keeled over after a really tough workout with a lot of volume, kind of like a hit or a CrossFit style workout every single day. And over time, with my own training, my own experiences, and just getting much more education and a lot more certifications, I have quickly realized that that's not really the case. Each person is unique. Each individual is their own athlete, and sometimes they are needing something specific for either their sport or they need something to build back up again. So my approach is much, much different than what it used to be before.
I've been a coach for about 15 years now, and I can tell you new clients, they come from anywhere, especially nowadays with so much exposure for business being online and on social platforms. In my career as a personal trainer, I've encountered people in consults who are looking for help, but then say things like, I think I'll get a personal trainer when I'm in better shape. This used to really confuse me. How do you handle prospective clients who've reached out to you for help but don't feel or believe they're ready for your coaching yet?
So when someone approaches me and they say something along those lines of, I'll just hire a personal trainer when I'm in better shape, or kind of give me another type of excuse about not working with me. Generally, I want to look at the person and the type of personality they have. For example, someone might want more directness, like more of a direct approach and just kind of speaking to them directly. Other people don't really like that. So you kind of have to talk to them a little bit differently and softly. So understanding the personalities is one. Two, when they give me some sort of kind of excuse or some sort of rejection like that, I'm generally curious. So why did you apply to work with me? Like, why did you reach out to want to work with a personal trainer? If this was something that you are coming up with now as your answer. So I usually try to ask questions to get to the root cause of it. A lot of times it's either a misunderstanding of uh, the business. It's a misunderstanding or a trust issue about our approach, or they don't trust themselves to complete this. They don't believe that they can get to a point where they feel good about themselves. There's so many different reasons why someone might say that, and a lot of times it's emotional. So you really have to dig deep and really find the core reason on why they're saying the things that they're saying. Sometimes it's a money issue, sometimes like it's financial, or sometimes it's really just a pure emotional issue. But you really want to get to the center of the reason why they say it that way, and just understand that there has to be trust in multiple different areas for this. So that's one way I approach it. Sometimes it still doesn't work though, so it just happens.
I think being a coach is really unique, and often the methods and systems we use are pretty specific to the person we're working with. We meet people who sit all across this range of being quote unquote bought into the process, and it doesn't always show itself in the initial stages of building a relationship between client and coach. When clients show some resistance to following your advice, how do you handle that situation?
So when someone is a little resistant to following my advice, it's kind of similar to the whole excuse or rejection question as well. Of so, why do you feel this way? Why do you believe this, or how come you're resistant to following this? And again, just kind of understanding the athlete or the member there and what kind of personality they have. So again, it's, can you be that direct where you're like, why don't you want to follow this? Like, what's going on? Versus if someone's a little more need to be soft spoken to, so what's going on? How come you believe this? Like, why do you believe this? I'm just generally curious as to know. So you want to try to, you know, find a level playing field and understand where they're coming from, and then really just have an open conversation with them, and just tell them that you're trying to help them and you're trying to guide them in the right direction. And you have to really be honest with them and straightforward with them, and try to also show understanding and empathy towards them of why they might believe what they're believing. And sometimes there's a little bit of resistance at the beginning, and even after explaining those things and the reasons why we do these things and the reasons why you need to follow that advice, they still might not follow suit with it. But then you bring it up again and again, and over time, if you really develop that true relationship with that athlete or that member, they're going to start trusting you more and more. So you really want to build that relationship, build that trust between each other, and really have open conversations about that and have deep conversations in general, so that they do have more buy-in and not resist as much. But again, resistance doesn't necessarily mean that they might not listen to you. Maybe they're just generally curious as to why it's one way or another. So I always encourage my athletes and my members to ask me questions, and I always encourage them to do that so I can explain to them what's going on. And I love it when they do. I love it when they ask questions. So sometimes it's not rejection, but when they do actually reject a little bit of the advice I'm giving them, that would be my approach. Just ask questions, try to understand what's going on, build that understanding and empathy, build that trust, and kind of go from there.
Simply because of the nature of what we do as coaches, we're going to meet and work with people at various stages in their personal lives and even careers. Without sacrificing a lot of the results, how do you help clients balance some of these really aspirational goals with other life priorities that might create roadblocks or bring conflict?
So, without sacrificing a lot of the results, I help clients realize that what I want from them is basically just consistency and some type of discipline. So, discipline in the sense of, okay, I need you to show up. I need you to show up on time. I need you to trust me. I need you to do the work. And but I also want you to have consistency. So give me that minimum 2 to 3 times a week, and we're going to keep working towards your goals. But I also understand that things happen in life, right? You have things financially that happen that are unexpected, or something happened to a friend or family member, or you have travels here, and kids or work responsibilities. All these things happen, right? So these might be like conflicts or roadblocks towards our goals. But the whole thing is, I always ask for the discipline and consistency. Consistency again of 2 to 3 times a week. Give me minimum 3 months to work with you to start showing you those results, and then you're really going to start seeing what those goals that you have are start to come to life, right? And just understand that this is a not a short term thing, but a lot of this stuff is very long term. I want you to have a different mindset as we go along with this. So always write down your goals. We'll work on them. We'll chip away at them, and as we kind of evolve the program and evolve with what we're doing, sometimes those goals change. And so we adjust, we adapt to it, so we build towards it too. So, I always try to be encouraging towards them, tell them that, life happens, let's kind of work together on it. But, just always be encouraging to them, always put life and build them up, and just allow them to do that. And also, I don't want them to necessarily live in the gym. The gym and working with me should help their life outside of here. So I don't want them to be in the gym 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. You know, I want them to have the stuff that we do here translate to the real world, and then the things that they want to do outside of here are easier. So those are the things that I really hone in on it, just consistency and discipline, and then also just try to be encouraging when things happen.
I'm building Fitlete and the resource nexus for coaches and personal trainers to consistently preach a single message that continual learning is essential and it has compounding benefits for a lifelong career in this industry. What's one piece of valuable advice you give to aspiring coaches or coaches who have been in the game for a little bit but have stalled in their career?
So one of the things I like to tell my athletes and my members and just people in general is never stop learning, never stop lifting, never stop living. And I really think that applies to everybody, but also for coaches and trainers too. And there is always a new methodology coming out. There's always some new research coming out and new study coming out for this and that. And I always encourage to just continuously always learn something new, ask questions, find out more information, and really just kind of build your repertoire of knowledge, really. And never stop lifting, where you need to work out, you need to stay fit, stay healthy, always try to get stronger, always try to get fitter, always try to better yourself in that, and then never stop living. Apply yourself, apply what you've learned, apply your lifting and your fitness regimen into real life, into hobbies, into another sport. Test yourself, but also enjoy. Go travel, go do this, go do that. Really just, the learning, lifting, and living. Do those three and really just expand who you are as a person. And I really think that's going to help just gain traction for yourself and really just kind of hone in a good career and just you as a person as a whole.
That's all for this episode. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of this great info about yourself and what you do as a coach. I'm glad I got to know you a little bit more through this episode, and I'm glad some listeners got to know you for the very first time through this show. All your info is in the show notes, so anyone who's listening out there wants to stay in touch, please visit those show notes to find that information and reach out to them at any point. If you want to learn a little bit more about Fitlete and our resource nexus for coaches and personal trainers, visit fitlete.com. That's Fitlete.com. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.